Hello, this is John, the Vintage Fisherman. And I guess because I'm older than a day old and younger than being in the dirt, I learn something new every day. And I used to think I knew a lot about Abu Garcia's Ambassadors. These are my favorite reels. I'm doing this project, where I'm going to take a couple of Ambassadors and do a CT conversion on them. I've got a 5500 C3 and a 6500 C3. I was going to do conversions on. I'm still going to do that. I'm just still waiting on parts. But I bought a couple reels local. I found a couple 6500 C's local, got them cheap, brought them home, cleaned them up. They were pretty rough. They had some corrosion on them. My plan was to rob the end plate off of a 6500. I thought C's and C3s were exactly the same, but boy was I wrong. And I was going to take a 6500 C3 or C end plate and put on my 5500 reel, and that's not going to happen. And I'm going to show you why. There are some inherent differences between a C and a C3. So this C here, I'm going to try to get it close enough to the camera where it'll zoom in on it. It was built in '84. Okay, it's got an 84 on there. I was in high school when that reel was built. In fact, that was my senior. Well, I was out of high school. Well, depends on what time of the year in '84 it was built, but I graduated in June of '84, went off to diesel mechanic school. And so that reel's, it's old. I'm old. That's cool. I'm all happy with that. So I'm glad I made it to old age. It's been a struggle. We're pushing our luck at this point, but what I've learned in the last couple of days is, let me just go ahead and get this one loose and get ready to show you. This is a C3, so we're going to have a C3 will be on the left and a C on the right. This is a newer reel. This was built in '99. I don't know if you can see that good. So it's a newer reel. My car I drive every day is older than that, but anyway, I like old cars. And so it's an old Jeep actually. But anyway, back on subject here. And that one didn't do what it was supposed to do. So a couple of things you'll notice on a C3 is, and this one didn't do what it was supposed to do. That was supposed to stay in there. I'll see if I can't get it to do that. Sometimes you can just tighten that up. But anyway, the axle shaft for the spool normally stays clipped in. There's a plastic clip that rides underneath here, and it keeps the axle shaft from pulling apart when you take it apart on the water. And your spool bearings are in the spool. I got a pair of ABEC 7s with the rubber seals on them in here. I think those are ABEC. They might be ABEC 5s. I can't remember. Okay, I'll just go ahead and pull that since that didn't want to cooperate. And so your bearings are in the spool. Now on your 6500. And a lot of you are sitting there saying, yeah, we already knew this. Dude, you don't know what you're talking about. You're an idiot. But on 6500, the shaft stays, this is the original, the 6500C. Not a C1, not a C2, and definitely not a C3 or a C4. The shaft stays with the spool. There's no bearings in the spool. The spool is lighter because of that. I mean, I would say a whole lot lighter. I could be wrong. Maybe it's just my imagination. But your bearings on a 6500C, and I guess a 5500C is the same thing, and maybe a 4500C. They all built them pretty much alike. Your bearings in the end cap. So I can't really use these 6500 end caps on my C3 frames. The frames will work. I think the only difference is this peg, this stud on each side is a little bit larger on the older frames than it is on the newer frames. Maybe they made it smaller to save money. I don't know. But it is different. But you can always make a hole bigger. You can't make a hole smaller. So if you had to open up these end caps to work on to make, well, if you wanted to take your 6500 frame and put a 6500 C3 end caps on it, it will work. Everything is identical as long as you're going right hand to right hand or left hand to left hand. You know, you can't take a right hand frame and put it on a left hand reel and vice versa. That doesn't work. So anyway, you see the bearing. These are ABEX 7s in here already. I've already converted them out. They're ceramics. And so that's different. Well, that's not the only thing that's different. Things are very different. Yeah, they look pretty similar here on the gear side, right? You know, they made in Sweden. Handles are similar. Okay, handles a little bit. Just noticed that. Oh, I got new handles on order. No big deal. And of course, here on the 6500 C3, there's just a bushing in the end cap with some shims in there to help center the spool. So if your line's not laying good on the spool, you could change those shims. There's a little plastic cap that holds those in place. Okay. Okay, so you know we see the difference with the end caps, and like I said, I think on the palm side of the reel, that peg is the same. But well, let's just look at it. Let's do some measuring here. I'll get my little handy dandy calipers out here. Now these are set up for I reload ammo, and I've got these set up with a head space gauge. But let's zero out. So the peg or the stud on this one is a little over 3 millimeters, and that's on the C3. Well, they're both pretty much the same. Maybe it's between the 5500 and the 6500 are different. Maybe I'm crazy, but I had trouble getting the parts to match up the other day. Maybe it was just my imagination. Yeah, everything looks the same. So forget about the posts. They're the same. So let me cut that off, put them up. So we see the differences here is just basically the bearing. This one has a bearing inserted into it. This one has shims, and the bearings are in the spool itself. And the bearing, when you cast, the spool spins on this shaft. The shaft should not spin. Okay, so we'll leave that alone. Let's go over here to the drive sides. I'm just learning. I'm fascinated by this because, you know, I'm into this kind of thing. Yeah, I know I'm weird, but I'm a real nerd. But I'm fascinated by it because I want to know, and I want to know what will interchange and what won't interchange. And that's how I roll. These reels have been cleaned. They're in good shape. They're ready to hit the water. And as soon as I decide what I'm going to do or how I'm going to do the CT conversions, because there's a question I got for y'all. A question I have for everybody out there. Do you think the C3 would cast better? I haven't been able to do a heads up on head-to-head competition with the bearings in the spool, or do you think the original C version with the bearings way out here on the end, as long as everything's true, which this is true, I've checked it, there's no run out in it at all, do you think this style would cast better? Or maybe you've already done it yourself out there. I don't know. So let's take both. I don't know why I'm taking two reels apart. They're ready to go and in great shape, but you know, I'm a nerd. We'll take the handle off. That handle's bent. I got a handle on the way for that reel, so it's no big deal. Also, the C3 had a screw in the end of the shaft, and the regular C had a clip in the shaft, just like all the other Ambassadors I've ever owned, and I only own a couple that have the screw in them like this does. I don't know what the big deal is, what the difference is. You tell me. Okay, in your C, you got a cap. There's your outer bearing for this end, so it goes up in there, and your shaft is up in there, and you adjust your tension, your cast tension, against your spool right there. And of course, it's not going to go together because my flyweights are messing with me. And I want to show you something about these flyweights too. Okay, so now it's together. So you have a lot of adjustment there for tension. But that's where your bearing is on the and I'll show you the flyweights if I remember to do it. Okay, let's keep taking it apart. Let's go a little further with it. I'm just getting home from work. I've been outside putting a starter in my diesel pickup. And it's pouring, well, not pouring down snow, but it's okay, I took the little clip out. That's why that one didn't stay. I need to put that back in there. But okay, so your C3, and this one doesn't have instant anti-reverse, so it's got a bearing, and this has been upgraded to a ABEC 7. It's got a bearing in the shaft, right? Your regular C does not. You can put a bearing in it, but it comes with a plastic spacer. And like I said, this one has a bearing, which I won't be able to get out until I did get it out. Okay, so let's go a little deeper here, because you know, inquiring minds want to know. This is a good little heads up, because I have scoured YouTube, I have scoured Google, I have been all over the interwebs, the World Wide Web, and I haven't found a thing about which one will cast better, when was the split, when did they change from, well, they both reels look the same on the outside, but when did they change the internals? When did they go from the bearings out on the caps to the bearings on the spool? When did they change the anti-reverse? Okay, so the newer ones have an anti-reverse, instant anti-reverse, and it says that on the can, but these of course don't, because they're not instant anti-reverse. Okay, so let's pull the cover off of the C3. Now the C3, let's pull the cover off the C. It ain't a C1, it's not a C2, it's just a C. I don't think they made a C1 or a C2, but this is a 2 bearing reel, so maybe their C2 was a C. There's a big difference, okay? And I'm gonna take it apart slowly. On the C3, you got a bridge with 2 springs. Well, I don't know if it's called a bridge. It's not. Here's your jack plate, so it's a spring. Let's call it a spring plate. On your C, plain old C, you got just a one-piece unit there with a spring on it. So it's a spring plate, for lack of better terms. Here's where some big differences are. On the C3, I'm going to try to do this without jacking everything around. You've got, your drag system is totally different on this reel. It's got, of course, you got a drag washer underneath, and it's not really a drag, it's a friction washer, but it's not really part of the drag, so to speak. And then up here on top, let me see if I can find my little handy dandy screwdriver I have bent just to pull these out. There's a couple things that are very different about this reel. This reel is very different. I don't know why this C3 is different from any of my other C3s, but you got friction washers, okay? Then you got a key washer, okay? Then you got a friction washer. These are Carbon Techs. I've upgraded this drag system. And of course you got another friction washer, all Carbon Techs, and you got your top plate. That's cool, but this is different too. Look at your anti-reversalist reel, and I thought it was broke when I first took it apart, but it's not. It's only got one friction tang on it to ride this. Excuse me. So I'm gonna clean that off, and I'll put it all back together. You see how it grabs that and goes back with it? Okay. Over here, older model, but looks more up to date. You've got pretty much a similar stack here on your, but look at this. You got a friction washer down here on the bottom, a large ring. Now the Royal Express reels are made like this, and I haven't upgraded these friction washers yet. The Carbon Techs ones are on the way. I'm using the ones for Royal Express because I couldn't find anything that just said C on it. And I'm hoping the Royal Express ones will work. We're going to find out the hard way. But. So you got that, and then if you pull this sleeve off, there's a washer underneath there. You pull this sleeve off, it's got two tangs on the anti-reverse ball. This is also a reel that, let me take this back off again. Alright, and that's pretty much it. You've got the trip for the spool release on both of them. It's pretty much identical. This has a coil spring, that has a tab or like a leaf spring type thing. You know, like I said, the drags are different. You got the ring on this one and a thicker drag up on top. I don't know which one has more drag to it, folks. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you at all. It's just, it blows my mind. Which reel is better? You know, I hear some people complain and say, well, this, that, and the other about the Ambassadors, and I'm thinking, well, what are you talking about? These are some of the best reels made. But I can see where there's definitely some big differences in these two reels. Enough where it makes you go, huh, what the heck? And I don't know. You tell me, when did they change, and why, when you go to order parts, like I went on Mike's, or yeah, I think it's, I can't remember the name of the site. Somebody's Real Parts today, and he doesn't list a 6500C anywhere. He lists a 6500C3 and C4, and he doesn't even list for the Royal Express drag washers, which I'm almost 100% sure these drag washers in this C are just like what's in a Royal Express. So did the Royal Express take place as a C, and then everything else became a C3? I don't know. My mind is blown. I'm going to upgrade these two 6500s. I've got two of them here. Both of them are from 1984. He must have bought, the guy I bought them from must have bought both reels at the exact same time. They're very similar. This one has the old style Abu Garcia logo on it, and this one just has the newer style, like the Abu Garcia for Life logo. See the differences? But I don't know what that means, because the manufacture dates, the years they're within like a month of each other, to be honest with you. 84. No, I can't really tell, but I know 84. The first two numbers are supposed to be year manufacture. So I'm perplexed. I don't know. I'm just trying to make sense of it all. If y'all have anything to add, any wisdom to give me on when things change and why can't I find parts for a 6500C? Help me out. Help a brother out. I have no idea, but I'm working on these things to do this. Basically, do a CT conversion on two reels, a 5500 and a 6500. Don't know if it's going to be a C or a C3. I don't know which way it's going to be yet. I can do it either way. I can do it with either reel. I have reels of both here. And somebody made a mention in part 2 of this. I guess I might make this part 3, but it was a comment on part 2. You know, you're running a good reel, and I respect that comment, because these are good reels. I'm only doing 2 reels. They were reels that I got in here were missing a ton of parts. They're not in the best shape in the world. You know, I've got, I don't know if you can see, that frame is rusty. That's the one I'm going to modify. And I'll be able to take this 5500 C3 and put right back on its original frame and use it. This is going to be just to use for salt water, and I'll be able to convert it back for fresh water. And so I've got that planned, and I'm going to probably do the same. I've got a spare frame for a 6500. Just don't know if I'm going to do a C or a C3. Which one do you think would cast better? The one with the bearings way outboard on it? Or to me, it seems like this would be better. All changes aside, bearing for bearing. Of course, this one has ABEC 7 ceramics. This one has ABEC 7. I want to say they're steel. I don't know if they're ceramic steel. I don't know. They're rubber sealed. They may be steel or ceramic also. I'll have to go back and look. But I do know that the bearing that fits on the handle of the C3 will work with the C. It's the dimensions are perfect, but you could almost pack 2, and I guess you could just put 2 bearings in there where that one big spacer is. I don't know. I'll have to figure that out. I've got bearings. I've got several bearings here I could put on. Older bearings, yeah, there's nothing wrong with them. This handle bearings, it's not the end of the world if that's not ceramic or ABEC 7 or whatever. It's not spinning. The only time it spins is when you're cranking. When you cast, this part of the reel does nothing. It only when you're cranking. So you don't want that bearing to be rough. You want it to be smooth. And that's the only thing you really need. These plastic bushings do fine, but I'd rather have bearings to support the handle a little better. But anyway, that's my question of the day. Which one's going to be better? Why, when did they change, and why did they change? And you know, that's all I got. I don't know what else to say. That's all I got. I just want to build the best reel I can for what I'm going to do with it. So that's where I'm at. But I'm going to put these back together and get this video up. Maybe somebody can answer my questions for me. Thanks for watching. This is John, the Vintage Fisherman. Please leave some comments below if you have anything to add. And like the video if you did like it. And subscribe to my channel if you want to see me ask more questions. Y'all have a great Happy New Year, and I'll catch you later. Bye. Okay, there's one more thing, and I meant to show you this before I got off the video. So on a C3, at least all the C3s I own, the fly weights, your centrifugal casting aid weights that slow the spool down as it starts to overrun, they just ride on there. I think you have to actually physically remove them, and I think you can flip them around if you have to. And you can flip them around and they'll lock in. So you only have one flying out, or you can flip them both around, but you have to actually remove them on a C3. And this is actually a 5500, but the 6500 would be identical. Okay. Now on the regular C, this is a 6500C. These fly weights can be locked into the non-operational position like that. You can lock one over and it won't fly out, or you can lock them both over and cast with no centrifugal weights at all. And I could see this being really nice on the water. Number one, it's very easy to do. You don't have to take them off. You won't lose them. You just slide them in or slide them out. If you were to switch this rod and reel over to something heavier, you may want to back off of that a little bit. You may take one or both off. You switch over to something really light that's susceptible to overrun as soon as you cast it. You can flip them both out, or one out, and that's what I wanted to show you. You can do it, like I said, you can do them both. They both lock over and they will not fly out. It's pretty interesting. It's something else I knew you could do that on some of them, but I didn't notice when the change was, because I've got reels that are both ways. But anyway, I just wanted to add that. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. This is John, Vintage Fisherman. Y'all have a good day.